Hey, good morning. My first million in multifamily. Yaden here with let me see if I can point in the right direction. With
There
my
you go.
business partner and cousin, Jennings.
What up?
Jennings is
What
up
up?
in Ohio with the family, visiting the in-laws. What's the temperature up there?
I think it's like 22 degrees and a bunch of snow on the ground. The lake is frozen here. It's beautiful, but I'm glad I'm inside.
It's beautiful, but inside. Yeah, down here, back on the home front, it's like in the low 50s today, right now. So I'm wearing. We both got on our hoodies. Love it. Okay, let's jump right into bringing our guests. Normally, we don't have guests on Wednesdays because we're doing the teaching, doing the training, but we got something special for y'all today. All
Yeah.
right.
So I don't know if you remember, but we had the show a few weeks ago. We had Hemel Badiani of Exponential Equity on with us, and he was talking about his deal in Winston-Salem. There he is. What's up, Hemel? He was talking about his deal in Winston, and he sent me the details on this deal, and I liked it so much. I was like, hey, Hemel, do you want to put this out to the group? Do you want to see if this is something that people would be interested in looking at? Because I really, really liked it. He was amenable to that. So we thought we'd have him talk for a few minutes, hit a few highlights of this deal. We're going to talk for just 5-10 minutes about the deal and then jump into our show today. But we're going to have a webinar next Tuesday at 7 p.m. So you can join us then and really dig into the details of this deal. It'll be me and Hemel and Yaden, most likely. I'll be there too. So Hemel, can you just hit on a couple of points as to, I know why I like it, but talk about 3-5 points that you really like about this deal. What attracted you to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you all hear me okay?
Great.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
All right.
Two thumbs way
So
up.
three big and main reasons out of many, but one, the market, right? So Winston-Salem in North Carolina, one of the hottest market in the fastest growing state of the entire country. It actually came in as number 6 in projected rent increases in the entire country for 2021. So above Dallas, above Charlotte, above Raleigh, above Greenville. It is unbelievable, right? So that's number one. You're entering a market that has great tailwinds for the next decade in terms of innovation, in terms of jobs, in terms of growth. Second piece of the puzzle, you've got rent increases happening there overall, but this asset hasn't had any single rent increase in the last 6 years. Imagine that.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So three bedroom cottages that are 1,000 square feet, almost like a detached home, are going for $600.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And it could be $1,100. So which is fantastic. Well, reason run by a small property management company, no systems, no processes, no incentives, right? So there's those two factors. And the combination of that allows us to structure a very stabilized asset. It's already 90% occupied. Get that, increase the rent a little bit, just manage it. It's very well managed, very fine asset, sprawling 25-acre asset, and allow us to refinance very quickly and enjoy 5 years of infinite returns after the investor's capital is returned back, which is amazing. And the reason why we could do that is those two factors. Rent increases are amazing in the asset overall in the market, and no rent increases in the last 6 years. So even if you increase rent by a little bit, it'll still be the cheapest asset in the entire market.
Wow.
Okay, so you said refinance. So what time horizon are we looking for as far as the commitment of capital?
Yeah, we're looking at 3 years conservatively. We'd like to refinance earlier, but the 3 years is what we have analyzed. We said if we can increase rent overall on an average by $100 over a 3-year period, so $30 every year essentially. If we can do that, then we'll be able to refinance, return entire investor capital back, and we want to keep the asset for another 5 years to sell it at an optimal price, and that those 5 years would be essentially infinite returns.
Okay, so
Wow.
I put in my money, and in 3 years you're going to refinance to get my money back, and then I get payments with no money on the table, no risk at all for the next 5 years. And
Pretty
then
much.
when you sell, do I get anything when you sell?
Yep, absolutely. The this for this asset, majority of the stake is with the investors, so they get a 70% equity out of any profit that is made
Okay.
from the
Wow.
sale of the asset. And during the asset cash flow, whether it's the first 3 years or the next 5 years, we would in those 8 years we would be returning cash to the investor from operations as well.
Okay. And are you paying? And I know you're paying a preferred return. So can you tell me about that?
Yep, we're paying a 7% preferred return. What that means is first 7% of whatever cash flow from operations, 100% of that would go back to the investors. Then we'll start splitting it 70/30. So on an average, we're looking at close to 10% cash flow year over year, every year for 8 years, even after the money is taken back.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
So 7% is preferred, which means it's in a superior position to the general partners.
Yep.
Then there should be more cash flow after that. So we're looking at hopefully 10% preferred return for 3 years, or not preferred return, but 10% return for 3 years. Then I get the money back, and then my returns are infinite, and I get 70% of the cash flow as the investor after
Yep.
year 3.
Yep.
And then 70% of sale profits at the end of year 8.
Pretty much.
So another thing I like about this deal is our sponsor, Nick Brown, who has worked with us on pretty much every deal we've done, is also the sponsor and involved with this deal. Nick was just down there and walking the property with Hemel. He's got his stamp on it. I talked to him this morning. He says he loves the asset and it's looking great. So Yaden and I will be taking a small ownership stake in the ownership or on the GP side as well, being a part of this deal. So I think it looks like a really safe deal. I mean, this is a stabilized 92% full deal that is cash flowing from day one, able to pay a pref from day one.
That's huge.
It's not a huge like, wow, this thing, yeah, we got a great deal, but it's 50% vacant and we've got a lot of risk on this deal.
Yep.
So, I mean, I know as an investor, I'm always looking for how do I protect my capital? How are you going to get me my money back? Let's talk a little bit about your refinance projections. Like, how do you know you're going to hit those metrics on the refinance and get everybody their money back? Like, what gives you confidence there?
Yeah, we have data points. So, right when we visited the property the first time, we asked this mother-son duo of a property management company that's managing 250 units essentially. And they're doing a good job from a maintenance standpoint, but obviously haven't increased rents. And we said, hey, why don't you try and increase rents by a little bit? And over the last 3 months, what they've done is any new lease that comes up, they have on an average increased rents by $100. So we have the data point, and they called us very excited. They're like, "Hey guys, this is awesome," because they want to work with us, right? When we buy this asset, and like, this is awesome. Nobody blinked an eye because we now went from $600 to $700 on those cottages, while they can be $1,100. So nobody's going to blink an eye. So that data point gives us confidence, and we made it even more conservative. We didn't say that we would continue raising those rents by $100 in just 1 year. We're saying over a 3-year period, at a total, if we raise $100 in terms of rent, this asset would be valued at a point where we can return investor capital back, which is just fantastic.
Y'all raise the rents just like that, $100. Nobody
Without
blinked
any
an eye.
CapEx, no change,
no granite counters, no
nothing.
heavy remodel. Just bam, $100 rent increase because it's so below market.
Exactly.
Oh my! And your projections were 3 years for $100 increase.
Correct.
And just like that. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
You kind of have pre-proved your business model already before you even closed on the deal.
You don't even have to test the market. It's like the market will sustain this price strictly as is.
Exactly.
Oh, dude. Yeah. No wonder Nick loves it. I love it.
Well, and I noticed that the cap rate, it seemed, like you were using a pretty conservative, even a higher cap rate than you're buying it at, right?
Yeah, so we're buying it at 6.2 cap rate. The market in Winston commands pushing C-class assets at 6 cap rate. And we are assuming that we would refinance at a 6.25 cap rate. Even though cap rates are compressing, we're assuming conservative
Being
cap
conservative.
rate.
Yep.
We want to sell it we are assuming a 6.75 cap rate. So if the markets for some reason go completely south, and with that, we'll stand with our conservative assumptions and can still provide, the 10% cash flow and a total return of investment of 144%. So 22% IRR is what we are projecting, which
Dude,
is
that's solid.
fantastic. You don't see that in a stabilized asset typically.
And we have a full webinar locked and loaded next week to go over all the details. If you're interested in this, the link is, I don't know where the link is. I don't know where to point to the link. It's either above us or below us. We're going to put it in the comments. It's going to be everywhere, so you'll be able to find it. We look forward to seeing you on the webinar next week.
And guys, this is a 506C. So just for your own,
just to be clear, this is legal.
Yeah. How are we talking about a deal publicly? It's because Hemmel's going the 506C route, which means, one, you can openly, market the deal and talk about it to anybody. But you can only take on accredited investors, and we'll get into detail on what that is. But accredited investor is somebody that knows what they're doing, has the financial wherewithal to do this type of deal. It's a $50,000 minimum buy-in, and there's some net worth requirements that you have to go through to be an accredited investor. So it's a 506C. And then, we'll get into that more. But Hemel, thank you for joining us, buddy. I appreciate it. And
thank you very much, Hemel.
I'm excited to have that chat next week. Appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, brother. Godspeed.
Okay, so let's get into our topic today, which is,
this is a good topic.
It is.
Because we have run into this multiple times, talking specifically about how do you deal, what kind of timeline do you need once you lock up a property under contract, not LOI, but PSA, you're under contract, or as you're negotiating the contract, what sort of timeline do you need to be successful? Now, obviously, circumstances are going to be a little bit different all over the place, but this is the model that we use. This is kind of the template that we use, right? So first off, what is the seller's objective in selling a property? They want the most money as fast as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. They are at odds with you, and they want you to close that deal as fast as possible with as little questions as you can ask, and they just want money in the bank. And if you were selling the property, you'd want the same thing. However, your objective is not to go as slow as possible, but you want to make sure that you're not making a mistake, that you understand the full details of the deal and what everything's going to cost, and that it is a good deal that you want to close. And you also want to make sure that you get your financing. Unless you're paying cash for this deal, you want to get your bank loan so that your cost of capital is going down. And you also want time to, if you're raising money, that you have time to get the money in the bank and get all your investors on board and all their paperwork done. And that all just takes time and effort. So
here we go, guys. When because I know a lot of y'all in the group, a lot of those listening that are watching the recording, a lot of our audience is coming from the single family space. And you're used to, I know I was in residential real estate for 7 years. Like a 30-day close is normal. A 45-day close is long. 60-day close, unheard of. In multifamily, though, and honestly, if you're flipping a house, you can walk in, the structures you got to look at. If you have experience doing this, you can say, okay, kitchen, bathroom, roof, crawl space, whatever. I'm going to need about 50 grand. Put another 5 grand on it, 55 for renovations. And I'm good. I have a hard money lender who's going to give me $150,000 to buy the house, 55 grand for the renovation. I'm going to be done in 3 weeks. And then I'm going to put it back on the market. 30 days later, I'm going to sell it for $250,000, right? It's like that happens all the time in the single family space. It does not happen that way in multifamily space. Everything takes longer.
Yeah, you're talking, and to get proper terms, like if you're going to get a local community bank or one of these national bigger banks to finance you, they take time. And you can go the hard money route with apartments, but you're going to really, really pay out the nose on points and fees, and rates are going to be high. And you just don't want to put yourself in that scenario where you have to close something on a crunch and not get the best financing terms that you can get. I mean, if it's a great deal, you want to close it. And if you have to go that route, you have to go that route. But there are some things that we wanted to talk about that sellers use to squeeze you. And to push you. I mean, they push for like a standard. I would say that the gold standard is 45-day due diligence, 45 days to close with a 15-day extension period that you don't have to pay for. That's what you kind of want to shoot for every time you're negotiating your side of the contract as a buyer.
Yep.
Now, when sellers
are going to push back, they're going to say, how about we want 30-day due diligence and a 30-day close after that?
And that can be reasonable. You know, if you're talking about a 15-unit apartment, that can be reasonable. But you're talking about a 100-unit plus property, like that is not really going to be very easy to get done. It's not.
And proximity is also something you got to take. If it's a 15-unit apartment that's a 30-minute drive from your house, I mean, you could probably do that in 30 days and 30 days. If it's a 60-unit apartment, an hour and a half drive away, everything's going to take longer. Everything will take longer. If you have to get on a plane to go see it, everything's going to take way longer. So yeah, they're going to push back. Here's some things that you got to watch out for in the due diligence, like, because you're going to need time. Walkthroughs. You have to walk through every unit. Now, there was one exception in our properties one property we're closing on next month. We did not walk through every unit only because I think 3 or 4 of the tenants had COVID symptoms. That is the only reason we did not walk into their apartments, but we did knock on the doors, ask them to open the doors so we could take a picture through the door. Most of them were really unhappy with us. Yeah, it takes time. If you're walking through 100 apartments and you figure 5 minutes per apartment, which is fast.
Yeah, that's not even possible, honestly.
I mean, yeah, no, that's 500 minutes. 500 minutes for 100 apartments. 5 minutes a pop. Like, you can't do that in a day. It's going to take 2 days. It takes time to coordinate with the management company that's on site to get access, to let everyone know that the inspections are coming, to get whoever you need with you coordinated to be there. So just scheduling the walkthroughs will take a week.
And you're going to have third parties that you can't control. You know, you're going to be scoping your plumbing lines. You're going to be getting quotes from third parties on trash, insurance. You're going to be waiting on surveys. You're going to be waiting on appraisals. The bank's going to have to order environmental reports. This is all stuff that doesn't happen necessarily on a hard money, single family, $100,000 deal that it does on these type of deals. And so,
also on commercial deals, I know in the residential space, it's all like business days. In the commercial space, it's just days. You got 45 days of due diligence. Now, you could put business days in there, but in the commercial space, almost nothing happens on the weekends. Like, it's a lot of sellers are not in their offices on the weekends because they're working out of an office. They're a larger firm. Maybe it's just a mom and pop, but it's still then just not working on the weekends. So even though you have a month and a half, you only really have business days to get stuff done.
Well, and Yane, I want to talk a little bit more about the terms that sellers push back on, and because our experience is when you get a seller that is being really, really, really aggressive on terms, it should be warning bells coming off. So one of the guys in this group, actually, we were working on a deal in Texas, and the seller, he wanted, $100,000 deposit, of which $20,000 was hard the second we wired it in, day one. Without walking anything, without anything, it was hard. And then no financing contingency. So after the due diligence period expired, our money went hard. And so if the bank didn't do the loan or it fell through or whatever, or we had to get a different bank and they couldn't close in time even, the seller has the right to just take that $100,000, keep it, and sell it to somebody else. And so that is a very, very common thing, is just massive due diligence deposits. So
specifically on that deal, when I dug into the analysis of it, there's they had vacancy being reported as a certain number, but they weren't factoring in the economic vacancy. they had another 15%, 20% of the tenants that just hadn't paid rent in months. So
Right.
we would have gone into that with severely negative cash flow. And when I looked at that, it's like, obviously the seller wants hard money right up front, because now we got 120 grand right on the table as soon as due diligence is over, and we either close or we lose the money.
And we were working another deal in Texas, that Texas deal that we flew out to, and the seller had negotiated a few $1,000s that was non-refundable day one. And it was no big deal at the time because we really, really liked the deal. But when we got on site, the deal was not as it was presented. I mean, the condition was just awful, and we backed out of the deal.
Surprise.
And we lost $3,000. I mean, boom, we lost $3,000 plus flights, plus hotels. I mean, it was $5,000, just boom, gone. And so you don't want to do that. I mean, that was a rookie mistake. We should not have made that mistake because we've been doing this too long, but we let it slide because we really, really wanted the deal. And that's the thing, is when the sellers are pressuring you and the price is cheap and you think, man, this is it. Like, this is going to break me into multifamily. This is going to get me that deal. Like, this is what I got to close it no matter what. When you get pressured into deals, like, it sucks. Do not do it. Don't get yourself in that situation of a 15-day due diligence period. Don't get yourself into hard money day one. Don't get yourself into no financing contingencies. Like, especially when you're first getting into this, because it's cutthroat, dude. They will keep your deposit. They will. One day, you miss one day, your money gone. They'll sell it to somebody else. So
they ain't playing. They're not playing.
It's
no. A friend of mine that I run with, he's British, and so sometimes his phrases don't translate well. But this was a good one that he said, like, if the odds are too good, then the goods are likely odd.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you're getting pressured on the closing date, I mean, something that you want to think about too is, like, what if you get to the end of the period where you're supposed to close it, and the bank's like, well, we need 3 more days, or we need another week, and you go to the seller and you're like, hey, no big deal, and it is a big deal. What if it is a big deal to the seller, and he's like, I'm not giving you a week, I'm taking your money, I'm moving on. And you've raised the money, you've paid these lawyers, your PPM, all that stuff is sunk costs, appraisals, PPM, environmental studies.
Not getting back.
It's gone. And so put stuff in your contracts where you have, like, the ability to automatically extend for 2 to 3 weeks, because if the bank needs it, or you have the ability to put down another $5,000 in deposits to get another week, or whatever. Just always, always, always have options to do that. And so, there's 2 kind of sides to the contract. You've got inspection period or due diligence, where you've put money down but the money's not committed, and then you have beyond, where you've passed the due diligence period. You've said, yes, I want to buy this house as long as I can get a loan. I want to buy this house. Or this apartment complex, and that you can't get your money back. You can't rescind on the deal unless the bank, defaults and doesn't do that. And so that's what gets so dangerous when you don't have a financing contingency, because banks have a mind of their own. I mean, you could have the best deal in the world and they pull the plug, and you have another bank that's lined up, but they can't do it in time. You're still going to lose your deposit, and it could be significant. You're talking on a $10 million property, you're talking $100,000 deposit or more that you could lose.
Yep. Even if it's like not that big of a deal, where let's just say it's $1 million purchase. Well, 1% of $1 million is 10 grand. And that's 10 grand that you're not going to get back if it doesn't close, which I know when we were getting started, 10 grand was like, I don't want to lose 10 grand now.
Yeah.
But when we first got started, we couldn't survive losing 10 grand.
Yes, we could.
That's true. We would have figured it out.
I love
but then like talking about like the financing section, oftentimes banks and lenders, they can't really get the gears rolling on underwriting the loan until you have all of the renovation numbers put together, because they're looking at it not just as it is, but what are you planning to do with it? What's the narrative? What's the story that you're telling on, like, basically you got to pitch the bank the same way you pitch an investor.
They're your biggest investor.
Yeah, they are the whale in the room that if they say no, there is no deal.
Right.
But banks, they can't really get into the underwriting until they have renovation budgets. And you're not going to have the renovation budgets until you're most of the way through due diligence because of just how long it takes.
Yep.
So if the seller is pushing back like, well, why don't we just close 15 days after due diligence is over? Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it.
Yeah.
Protect yourself, protect your investors.
And you can always say, absolutely, man, I want to close this deal as soon as we can. After due diligence, as soon as the bank is ready to close, I will close it. But don't put yourself in a position where they can take it. And we have been in situations with sellers where it is antagonistic. Like, it's not your buddy. It's not your friend. He is trying to screw you in any way he can.
Yeah, in the commercial space, you want to watch out for the sharks. There are sharks out there that, we're going after a former seller who I probably should say allegedly, who allegedly took 10 grand of rent money that tenants paid after we closed, and he just took it, left with it.
We also found out that after he realized, we were closing the deal, it was in the last final weeks, he started stealing appliances. He started stealing copper out of units. I mean, like, you got to be aware of the people out there. Not everybody's like you. Not everybody thinks like you or acts like you.
Mm-hmm.
A good way to protect yourself, though, with the timing is on the front end in your contract, right? Due diligence period to start at the delivery of documents, because so many times you'll go under contract and then the seller's dragging their feet, getting you the rent rolls and the P&Ls and the tax returns and all this stuff that the bank needs to get your loan and you need to make sure it's a good deal and vet everything out for your investors and yourself. And if they waste 10 to 15 days doing that, that could be half to a third of your whole due diligence period.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of at their mercy to get you the stuff, unless you say, hey, it starts at delivery of these documents and you list them out. I want these 10 documents or whatever you need. And then write like an addendum. Hey, due diligence started June 8th upon the delivery of these. We got to
receive these documents. The clock is now ticking.
You got to document those dates. Like, this is when it starts. This is when it ends. This is the closing date. If you verbally talk on the phone, oh yeah, we can give you an extra week or two to close if your bank needs it. Document it, sign it, get it in the contract.
In writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Let's see. On some side notes, we got Max up in North Dakota, negative 17 degrees.
Yeah, I want to talk about, though, I'm freezing here. Yeah, I want to talk about what if you really want the deal and you want to be flexible? What are some things that you can be flexible on? What are some things that you can be creative on? Like, of course, yeah, we all want everything our side, but we know it doesn't always work out that way.
So some things that that we have faced and that we are flexible with is being sensitive to the seller's desire not to rock the boat. Right. So oftentimes the seller is very concerned because they haven't told anybody. Nobody on site knows that they're thinking of selling. And now suddenly they have a contract, but the on-site management doesn't know. None of the tenants know. And that's a valid point. That's a valid concern that sellers have. And you got to flex on, you can't be out at the property every week for 5 weeks getting an inspection done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be sensitive on that. That's a big thing that you're definitely going to face.
Something we've used is if a seller is really pushing on no financing contingency, which means after due diligence is over, you're closing the deal no matter what. Well, we can sometimes agree to that, but we put in there, it's got to be no financing contingency unless the bank denies it because of the asset, because of the property. Right. We are guaranteeing that we can get this loan. We are qualified. We'll have our down payment. We'll have our ducks in a row. We've got the experience to get the loan. And by the way, if this is your first or second deal, do not do that. But, if it's like your 10th deal, then yeah, you can say, hey, as long as the bank likes the asset, we'll remove the financing contingency. And that's kind of like meeting in the middle where it's like, hey, our credit's not going to screw you up. Our ability to borrow will not kill this deal.
It kind of puts the financing burden on them as the property owner. Like, hey, we're locked in. We're good to go. Our earnest money's hard if it's on us. If you're lying to us about the property and something pops up last minute and the bank is like, oh, we didn't know that actually no one's paid rent for 6 months.
Right. And that's why I would say you do what you want, but I won't go hard immediately on the money. Like, I don't care how good this deal looks or how many other people want it or how many sellers they've got lined up and on and on. Like, if every time, I mean, it's just a bad idea because when you get on site, like Dan Diamond says, how to scan them better. I mean, you can scan them. The numbers can look amazing. The area can look amazing. And yeah, they're not collecting 50% of the rent, or they're, you get there and then the pictures are not the way it looks, or there's been a fire, or who
Pictures
knows?
are 15 years old.
I mean, when you wire in that money and you're saying, no non-refundable, hard immediately, like, it's gone.
You're not getting it back no matter what happens. Like, it's gone.
If they lied to you, if they misrepresented, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, you're not getting that money back. So don't do that. I would not go hard with the money day one. I think removing the financing contingency in certain scenarios is okay. We removed the financing contingency on what deal, Yaden?
I think it was Tulsa.
No. One of the deals we have under contract right now, the financing contingency is removed.
Oh, Statesboro.
Statesboro. So this was a skittish seller. She didn't really want to sell. It was off market, and it took forever to get under contract. And she just didn't want to fool with, I'm not going to go through due diligence and then have you guys not close. So no financing.
And on her side, she had gone through this before, and somebody walked away during due diligence. So she had been down this road with somebody, said they wanted to buy it, said they wanted to close, and then walked away. She had all this work that she'd done, getting financial. It's work to get this stuff as a seller. It's not like I don't just have it ready to go in a folder, like click, 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 click. I send it out to 5 different people. It takes time. It takes man hours. It takes work to get this stuff together.
So we had to agree to reimburse her for her attorney costs if we didn't close, which I think was like up to $1,500. We were willing to take that risk. And we had to agree to no financing contingency. But it was a slam dunk deal. And we had all of our 45-day due diligence and 45 days to close. So we had 45-day due diligence to vet it out, make sure this was the deal we wanted. And at the end of that period, we all looked at each other. And I think our deposit was like $30,000, 25 or 30,000. And it was like, hey, do we want to risk this with no financing contingency? And our bank that we had done multiple loans with was good to go. They liked the deal. We have a commitment letter from them. So it was like, okay, let's pull the trigger. Let's take the risk. Let's go, because we really wanted that deal. We're getting it. Well, you saw us post it. It's $32,000 or $33,000 a door in Statesboro, Georgia, in a market that rents for $700. For those type of units. So it was a great project, or will be a great project. So, anyhow, but yeah, that's kind of just.
I have lost track of the time, and for that, I apologize to all you guys out there watching. We're 3.5 minutes over, but yes, if a seller is pushing you for hard earnest money day one or a super fast close,
just be careful, and don't let your emotions take the better of you. And there's just some finer points on contract negotiation and due diligence. It's easy to get swept up in the moment and be like, oh man, this is a great deal. We're definitely going to close it. Nothing's going to go wrong and everything's going to happen on time. And it just is not going to. So don't put yourself in that scenario.
Last thing I want to say is I have created 2 new deal intake forms. One is like the first level deal submission form. It's through our platform on Podio, asks a bunch of questions so we can sort deals and filter through them. And then if a deal hits the first metrics, there's a second form for deeper dive information, the questions that we always ask when we're analyzing a deal, analyzing an area. I'm going to put those links here in the comments of this video. If you have something that you want to submit, send it through the links.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Appreciate you being here. We always do. And I got a new meme. I'm gonna be dude, Yaden, we didn't do the Venmo giveaway though.
Oh, okay. Venmo giveaway.
All right. You got your number.
Hang on. Let me. Some private number was trying to call me.
So
Okay.
the Venmo giveaway is we post these things where if you invite 15 people to the group,
Yeah, I got my random number generator ready to go.
you got 15. Invite 15 people to the group. We'll pick somebody randomly and give them a $100 Venmo immediately. So the last time we did it, we posted, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 people. Holy cow! You got 20.
Okay, so here we go. 1 through 5. See right now that 10. Don't pay any attention to the 10. The minimum is 1. Maximum is 5. Here we go. I'm ready.
Hang on, you. We got Jameis Smith, Danny Nicolino, Kira Stewart, CJ Mizzo, and Crystal Smith DeBoer. So Crystal's my sister. So I'm just telling you, this is honest. If it happens that Crystal wins, it's just the number generator, all right, guys?
Okay.
All right, Aiden, hit the generator.
Okay. Here we go. 1 through 5 and generate number 2.
Number 2, which is Danny Nicolino. Congratulations to Danny Nicolino. You getting a $100 Venmo. So Danny's a good guy. He lives up in Ohio.
Way to go, Danny.
Yeah, he flips a ton of houses, and I think he owns some multifamily already, crushing the game. So congrats, Danny. Appreciate you inviting people to our group. But we're going to do another one, okay? So we're going to pin in the announcements, write your friends. Please only invite people that are interested in multifamily, wholesalers, flippers, single-family guys, anybody in real estate. Get them in here, and we want to help them. So
thank y'all. Have an awesome Wednesday. We'll see you next week.
All righty. Bye-bye.